and welcome to episode 16 of Four Guys Talking Sports, the podcast. My name is Luke Legrano.
I'm David Axel.
I'm Lawrence Legrano.
And I'm Chris Miranda.
Yeah, Ryan is not here today. I can't tell if it's he's sick. Maybe he's scared of the baseball news we're going to talk about. Maybe Tom Brady needed a favor and Ryan just had to be there. Anyway, Ryan's not here. So we have Chris this week. Chris, how are you?
I'm doing so well, Luke. Thank you for asking. How are you?
I'm fantastic now that you're here, Chris. We've got plenty to talk about. We've got a few things later on in the show just for you, so I hope you're excited.
I am super ready.
All right. Well, we've got plenty to talk about today, gentlemen, but let's start with the big recurring news on this show. The MLB has issued its sanctions for the Astros after their investigation of the 2017 season. They include a one-year suspension for manager A.J. Hinch and GM Jeff Luhnow, a $5 million fine, and the loss of their first and second round draft picks in the 2020 and 2021 MLB drafts. Shortly after the Astros relieved Hinch and Luhnow of their duties, the attention now turns to Alex Cora, who parted ways with the Boston Red Sox in lieu of the sanctions being handed out. David, what do you make of the sanctions, and what do you think is in store for Alex Cora?
Was Cora given a suspension? I don't believe he was yet.
Cora was let go, but he wasn't suspended yet.
I think he will be given a suspension forthcoming at least anyways. It's just a preemptive move by the Red Sox to get him out. I mean, they see what's going on. They want to get ahead of it. I think it's really, from the Astros side of things, the owner's really getting away like a bandit here because he definitely knew about this and definitely encouraged it. And now he looks like the white knight in shining armor for firing these two guys and saying, I don't want to be associated with them anymore, even though he's basically unpunishable. Like a $5 million fine, that's like me dropping a $5 bill. That's probably proportionally me dropping more like a quarter. But that's actually in the owner contracts. They cannot be fined more than $5 million by the MLB commissioner. So, he's capped at that. He's basically an untouchable. The players are basically an untouchable. So the managers and GMs have to be, punished and made example of for this because they're just the ones that legally fall under the punishable category. So, I mean, for a guy like Jeff Luhnow, who literally created this entire Astros team, I do feel for him because his life's pretty much over. Or at least his life in baseball is pretty much over, and I'm sure he's made enough money to sail off into the sunset by now. But he's really the scapegoat. The two of them, Hinch and Luhnow, really the scapegoats in this scenario.
Yeah, I agree with that. Like you said, they were basically just the sacrificial lambs. This was, I think, the closest they could have gotten without blackballing the two of them, even though they're still effectively blackballed by – they're going to be blackballed by the rest of the owners, and no one's going to pick up either Luhnow or Hinch. I don't think there's any way they work again. I feel the same way for Cora, and I can't wait to see if his suspension or punishment is actually worse. And, this implicates Carlos Beltran, boys. Not great. So a little scared as a Met fan, but – you wish it was harsher because it doesn't feel like much, but at the end of the day, I think David laid it out pretty well. Draft picks mean nothing, too, by the way.
Especially since those players wouldn't reach the pros for another 3-4 years, and they did absolutely nothing to affect the Astros' ability to win a championship this year because a new manager is going to step in and do the same thing. Not the same thing, not the cheating, hopefully, they got caught, red-handed. But game management, bullpen management-wise, they'll be doing similar things, and they have the talent on the field. It does put the Mets in a very interesting scenario, though, because you can just say, well, the MLB didn't punish him, so I'm fine with it, right? Like, If my boss didn't say anything, what am I going to do? Or you could, try to be the upper ethical, moral side of things and fire him, but then you got to go call Eduardo Perez and hope he can make pitchers and catchers next week.
Yeah, I mean, it's absolutely nuts, right? Like, he hasn't even managed a game, and there's already, the media swirling around saying that he's going to get fired. I mean, this is so Mets
right?
that an American League team cheating in 2017, costing the Mets their manager's job months before the season starts in 2020 is just the most Mets thing of all time. I mean, it's absurd. But like you said, does Brody and the Wilpons take the moral route, or are they like, this guy's pretty good? And the only way, he gets kind of off here is if he didn't lie to them in the interviews. If he was up front, spewing the same bullshit that he did to the media in his interviews, he should be fired because you can't trust him. And now that's the issue, is that he's lying to you, his bosses. So that, I think, is probably more of a factor than just him being involved in the first place. It's whether he was honest with them about it or not.
I think he did lie to them. Because, otherwise they probably wouldn't have hired him. Unless they hired him catching downwind of this and thinking, maybe we can do this if no one else gets caught with it.
Right.
Maybe that was the reason they hired him.
No,
because he seemed to be the mastermind behind this, according to the report, that he was the player that orchestrated this.
Did you read the article about Cora on the Fan over last season after the London series that I sent?
I slightly skimmed it, but I got the main gist.
Well, yeah, right. So the main gist is that Alex Cora called the Yankees' biggest offseason acquisition last year, Carlos Beltran, because he noticed details on the field. And then unprovoked, he brings up the device scandal from 2017 that initially issued the warning that begun this whole thing. And he could have known that Beltran was doing something for the Yankees. Now, MLB's come out and said that they're not going to investigate the Yankees. They're not advocating this whatsoever. But hindsight kind of makes you think that's what he was referring to. So maybe you're right. Maybe Carlos Beltran came into this interview and sold the Wilpons hook, line, and sinker. He was like, this worked 2 years ago, and it worked last year when Cora did it in Boston. Let's face him in the World Series. And they're like, totally. We're the Mets. We'll do anything stupid.
And nobody's going to hit the ground in Syndergaard anyway, so.
Right.
This is better writing than Stranger Things. But yeah, there's a lot to look forward to, and there's a lot of pieces that still need to fall. So
yeah, and it'll be interesting to see Cora's suspension. That's next, and hopefully Ryan will be here to talk about his goddamn organization for it.
I almost wish we had a Yankees fan on to get their take on that whole Beltran of the Yankees thing.
No, absolutely not. Please, no, God, they're so happy.
The conversation I had with Justin,
they're so happy
today, David.
No, I didn't.
Exactly, because it was too long. So you didn't.
It was too long, right? Yes. And I was at work and I wasn't doing it.
Texted me today, Carlos Beltran's going to get fired. When can I come on the podcast? I was like, God damn it. Stop being happy. Everything's going right for them. So, yeah, I'm happy that Chris is here. And it's because,
Nick.
You're the man, dude. I appreciate it. Well, actually, he is a Yankee fan. But, he's not a obnoxious Yankee fan.
Do you really watch baseball?
I did good last season.
Yeah,
okay.
He did.
All right.
The season before, I warmed into it a little bit. So we're getting there.
Good.
It's a progression.
Yeah, of course.
Good for you guys.
So let's move to a sport that's a little more Chris's style. Let's transition to football. So just when you thought the craziness was behind us in the NFL playoffs, they showed us we still have plenty of surprises to come. While the top-seeded 49ers and number 2-seed Packers prevailed in the NFC, the number 6-seed Titans took down the juggernaut of the NFL in Baltimore, and the Houston Texans collapsed mid-game to blow a 24-0 lead to lose to the Chiefs 31-51. Before we get into the individual games, Lawrence, I want your take on something. What was the bigger postseason collapse? The Texans letting up 51 in 2.5 quarters after shutting out KC early, or the famous 28-3 Falcons blown lead?
No, the Super Bowl, dude. Come on, don't compare it. And it's a point more, and it's in the third quarter of a Super Bowl. Don't even try.
So actually,
don't even try.
It was Trey Wingo brought this point up today.
I'm already not happy, and that didn't make me any happier. Okay, keep going.
Because if I told you that a team went on a 51-7 run, you would probably think I'm talking about college basketball, right?
Correct.
That's football. That happened in football.
I would think football first, honestly, because 7 points in basketball is pretty impossible.
51-7 run.
Did you guys see?
It would be 51-20.
2 twos and a 3.
The Chiefs ran out of fireworks.
The Chiefs ran out of fireworks.
They ran out of touchdown fireworks, and they straight up totally slammed the Texans on the board. They were like, due to our excessive scoring and 7 straight trips to the end zone, we apologize. We've run out of celebratory fireworks.
That's awesome.
Right? But it was, it's one of the most dynamic offenses we've seen in the last 5-10 years. So no, I think the Super Bowl, Luke, is, and that the Chiefs kind of picked up in the second quarter last week too. They started real weak, but they were up at half. Right. Yeah. So I think 28. Yeah, no, I think 28-3 is not even in this realm.
When I did see 21-0, though, I thought it was over.
Oh, totally. Absolutely 100%. I was counting money on my Texans money line bet. I was like, okay, what are we going to do later? Nope. That ripped right away. So
I feel before they hash, man.
Oh yeah, never good.
Chris, which games surprised you?
You never asked a question about the play. There you go. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. What I said before we talk about the individual games.
Okay.
Maybe if you listen to the prompt, Lawrence. Jesus, Chris. Between the AFC games, which one was more of a surprise for you?
I mean, the beginning of the Chiefs game was. I mean, that was shocking. Like, instantly look at DraftKings for the live odds. Shocking. So if you made it in time, then hell yeah. I honestly, I'm going the Chiefs game because I almost not saying I almost stopped watching it, but I kind of wrote it off and just started looking at my phone more. And then you get 4 touchdowns in 2 minutes? Is it 3 minutes of game time?
Yeah, it was something absurd like that.
What a flip! I mean, man, and right before the half too, which is big. You go into the locker room like this game's over, even though we just brought it close and we're up a little bit, but this game's over.
Lawrence, what about you?
I don't know. I sat there Saturday night with my jaw on the floor. I could not believe how badly the Baltimore Ravens were manhandled. So I think overall, Chris has it because that flip was just probably the most exciting thing that's happened this weekend. But I was just floored when the Ravens got their shit kicked. I could not believe it at all.
So, but you're glad you're a Jets fan now, huh?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Honestly,
Lawrence, go ahead, Chris.
The thing with the Ravens is it was kind of just. I mean, what they scored 6 points,
12. Was it 12?
12?
They ended up with 16, I think.
16, is it? So, kind of to my point, I guess, slowly stopped watching, started making assumptions. They just looked like crap everywhere.
Seriously, though.
Everywhere. So, the rest of the game was just a slow demise of what should have been the Super Bowl winner, in my opinion. That was my pick.
That's very fair. David, what about you?
You're not alone.
Definitely the Titans. Because the Chiefs won the game, I would say I wasn't as shocked, but I was shocked to see the Texans come out to an early lead, and then quickly blow it. But just the way that Tennessee manhandled Baltimore. Coming into the game, though, I don't know if I said it on the show, but I definitely have the thought that Tennessee, of all the teams in the playoffs, have the best shot to beat the Ravens because they have the best D-line in the league, and D-line dominance is the only way to stop Lamar Jackson because he can't run if he can't cross the line of scrimmage. So seeing how one of the best O-lines in the league in Baltimore got absolutely dominated by a defensive line hadn't happened all season until that game. Now, maybe it was because they had a week off and they were well out of it, and they sat week 17 too. So they were going off 2 straight weeks of not seeing football at live speed, where Tennessee had, a death struggle week 17. Went into New England, and now they got the momentum.
They were playing playoff games in the middle of the season.
That's what I'm saying, right? So they've been on a roll. And tackling Derrick Henry is not like tackling any other player because you have to hit him below the waist or he won't go down because his upper body is bigger than yours. Unless you're Zion Williamson, he's bigger than you. So it definitely shocking, though, just to see the way they did it. And seeing those 2 4th-and-1 plays where the Ravens went for it, and they actually lost yards on both. That was really what shocked me because even Harbaugh was like, there's no way that this D-line can stop me from getting 1 yard. And they did. And then they did it again. And, after the first time, the old saying is, fool me once, shame on me. Fool me once, sorry, I completely screwed that up. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. So that was on Harbaugh, the second one. He should not have called that run on a 4th-and-1.
Wild weekend in the – I got to give my answer. I'm so happy you guys have access to my messages because if Lawrence could pull out the things that I said about the Texans and the Chiefs to only look like the biggest fool to ever get a phone in his hands, I was so sold that the Texans had it hook, line, and sinker, no questions asked. It was just going to be the most boring next 2 periods of football in your life, and I got wrecked real bad.
Oh, yeah.
So,
As soon as the Texans started, you shouldn't have mentioned this, Luke, because now you're in it. As soon as they went up big, as soon as they went up big, Luke put Andy Reid in a body bag. He was like, this guy is a perennial loser. He just went off. He went absolutely off on how bad of a playoff performer Andy Reid is.
And I made sure to say that I was wrong tonight because I'm not done yet. I still have the opportunity to be right, so I'm not. I was sorry then. I'm not totally sorry though.
Yeah. Fair.
Let's make that clear.
Can I make a point that David somewhat brought up?
Yes, sure. Chris, go ahead.
So he said it's impossible to tackle Derrick Henry going up top. Don't go up top on anyone. Since PAL, you have 5-year-olds who can't even wear helmets. They say tackle below the waist. And every single week in the NFL season, you see, 20 blown tackles because some DB comes from the back full speed and just launches himself at his shoulder pad? Enough with that. Tackle, wrap up. I'm sick of it.
Well, the problem is that they'll just hurdle you nowadays.
Fair, I guess. They jump really high. It's fair.
The defensive players are coached now to hit the ball with their head because they're trying to go for turnovers. So if you're trying to hit the ball with your head, you're trying to hit him in the chest almost. But the problem, like Henry, you just can't do that with. You could do that with Aaron Jones. You could do it with Damian Williams. You could do that with even McCaffrey. You could probably get away with it, but not Derrick Henry.
Big boy. No. He's a real big boy.
Yeah, we will see how the rest of the NFL playoffs turns out. But Chris, we brought you on for a reason this week, and that time is now. And this Saturday, Conor McGregor makes his return to the octagon as he takes on Donald Cowboy Cerrone in the main event of UFC 246. Chris, you're our resident MMA expert. Give us a breakdown of this fight, and what do you expect to see Saturday night?
Okay, first thing first. So ONE FC is another major fighting organization in Asia. And they have tests in place to make sure fighters are not cutting weight excessively. Huge, right? Very healthy for the fighters.
Like the hydration test kind of idea?
Absolutely. Okay. And they monitor throughout the whole fight camp. This right here is going to be the result of that science. You have McGregor, a natural 170 fighter. Like, that's what he walks around at. So he's coming in here underweight, like 165. There's probably going to be a 10-pound difference between him and Cerrone. Cerrone, a slightly bigger guy. Similar thing. He fights at 155 as well. That's where they kind of live there at lightweight. But at welterweight, both of them are going to come in as their natural selves, and we're going to see very energetic fighters. It is a 5-rounder, so you might see some pace there. They might slow it down a little bit, but it's McGregor, the most explosive fighter in the UFC, the most explosive fighter they've ever seen. And then you have Cerrone, who's got the gas tank for days. So I think we're going to see a little bit of a chess match unless McGregor is able to just kind of blast him in the beginning, which is very possible.
So I have... Go ahead,
Lawrence.
There you go.
All right. I was just going to ask Chris, what do you think is more realistic to see out of this fight? Do you think we're going to see a knockout within the first few seconds, or do you think this is going to take a couple rounds?
It's not going to be an Aldo situation where it's, 18 seconds into the fight or whatever. He kind of just... He feels him out. McGregor is the best fighter probably in the past decade because his feeling out process is about 20 seconds. And then he's ready to give you 110% going for that chin. So what I see is a first round possible knockout. If not, I think McGregor slows it down in the beginning of the second, and then at the end of the second is able to kind of close it for sure. But I will say I love Cerrone. That guy, he makes it into the 4th, 5th round, those championship rounds. He could win that by decision, by submission. There's some dangerous things that he can do because of his wide skill set.
See, this is how you know that Christopher is a true MMA fan, Luke. You just asked him about maybe the most notorious MMA fighter in history coming back after a 3-year break. And you asked Chris what he thought of the fight this weekend, and he gave you a full technical analysis without bringing up any of McGregor's bullshit, any of this stuff that he's been out for 3 years, and the hype that there is around this fight because of the notorious Conor McGregor has returned to the UFC, and he just analyzed the shit out of it, and that was awesome, and I respect you for that very, very, very much so. However, this is what I want to know. Conor was the double champ going back in 2016. He fights Mayweather, loses. He fights Khabib, loses, takes 3 years off, destroys his public image completely, hits old people, Throws chairs and buses, and that's not even counting the 2 sexual assault cases he has open right now that he's fighting through. So this guy's been through the ringer and back. Now he claims in his piece with Ariel Helwani on ESPN that you put me on, he claims that he's been sober, he's been energetic, he feels like he owes people, and he's not doing it for the money anymore, and he's doing it for the love of the game. Why this fight is so big? Because it's the main event, it's a 5-rounder, only because Conor McGregor's in it, not because it's in a title fight. What are the implications if this guy wins quickly?
So you're saying if Conor wins or if Cerrone wins?
No, if Conor wins.
Okay, all right. So
because the UFC's off to a great year, right?
Absolutely.
So
and there's one opening,
right? And if he wins,
this is where we're going here.
So go ahead.
If Conor wins, if so, Israel Adesanya is the reigning middleweight champ, right? He's one of my favorite fighters all time. Been following him for a long time. He should be booked for March. You have Jones next month. In April, you're getting Khabib and Tony, a fight that's tried to been booked 4 times, and they just can't get it done. They keep tripping on wires and getting hurt and faking injuries. March is still open, and that's just confusing. That's supposed to be Adesanya. So what I'm thinking, McGregor says he wants to fight minimum 3 times this year. That's a lot for McGregor. Obviously, I haven't seen him since 2016. It's awful. If he wins this fight, I think Dana tries to slot him against Justin Gaethje, another welterweight, in March. A super quick turnaround for Conor. This is kind of unprecedented because, well, first of all, we know his frequency of fights. Second of all, I think even though he was given full reign to pick who he wants to fight, what weight, where, I think he picked Cerrone as kind of a tune-up fight, which is something you see a lot more in boxing. But you pick a guy that is confusing, but nonetheless, McGregor's resume is extremely powerful compared to Cerrone. He's coming off of, I think, 3 losses in a row, two or 3 first-round finishes, unfortunately. Love the guy, but he's been getting clobbered. But he also has super quick turnaround. So I think he's trying to catch someone that's a little older, trying to catch him a little bit tired or beaten down. And then third, he's a family man. Conor just had a son. Cerrone had a son, and they kind of have that fatherly bond, and I think he's given him that red panty night that he deserves.
I wanted to double check this. Cerrone has lost his last 2. But Chris, I wanted to ask you, are people kind of counting out Cerrone? Because right now McGregor's the heavy betting favorite. I'm pretty sure it's minus 330 last time I checked it, and Cerrone's plus 260. But I think something that's going to come into effect here, and Chris, I know we talked a little bit about it this morning. I think what Cerrone has going for him in this fight is that Conor gets under your skin, and that's his number one thing. I think before maybe even being a fighter, is that he gets under your skin and he gets you riled up better than anyone else in the UFC. And when asked if he was going to play along tonight, Cerrone said, "No, I'm going to laugh with you guys, and I'm just going to get ready for this fight." I don't think this man is going to let him get under his skin. I think that this can go 2 or 3 rounds. You're probably right. McGregor probably will win this match. But I don't think that it's the most outlandish thing in the world to think that Cerrone could take this a couple rounds, if not win the thing.
Yeah, I do think people are counting him out. This is one of the most experienced fighters ever. He has an arsenal of skills. He can take you down to the ground. He can throw a roundhouse right to your face. He will stand there and box with you. He'll throw elbows in the clinch. He doesn't care. Cerrone is a fighter. He's a man's man fighter. However he can draw blood, he's going to try and draw blood. And he happens to be pretty talented at every single one of those skill sets. So, I think people are counting him out, unfortunately. But as far as the odds work, I think a betting favorite as Conor is super fair. I think that minus 330 or whatever that money line is super fair. Unfortunately, I think the money is, if you want to bet on Cerrone, go with either choose a later round preferably, or choose submission.
All right, so I'm going to ask the same question that I just asked, but reversed, right? You pent up this ideal scenario where Conor comes back, knocks Cerrone out quickly, then blasts off into the stratosphere, starts main eventing multiple cards in the UFC this year. What happens if Cerrone beats him?
All right, so you guys are going to hate me. Nothing changes.
I believe that.
Really?
This fight's for Conor to win, not for Cerrone to lose or win. It doesn't really matter. Cerrone's going to make a crap ton of money. McGregor's touting he's making $80 million. I might doubt the validity on that. But at the end of the day, if Cerrone wins, he's going to move up in the rankings, but he's not going to get that title fight. He's not going to get the title fight. It's going to be Justin Gaethje deserves that title fight. He just knocked out Cerrone, and then Cerrone takes this quick notice money fight with McGregor. Not quick notice, but quick turnaround. Gaethje still deserves a chance. That's why I think McGregor fights Gaethje next, and the winner there goes for the belt.
Who holds the belt right now?
It's Kamaru Usman.
Okay.
So you think he'll stay at welter and not try to fight Khabib again?
I think Khabib could be a good December event.
Okay, so maybe he cuts weight by the end of the year. Because Khabib went on that big crazy rant about how he would be unbelievably pissed off if they tried to book Conor, if he defended against Tony and they tried to book Conor as his next fight.
Yeah, well, he's being ridiculous. He said Conor has to win 10 times in the division before he gets the title fight. This is Conor McGregor. This guy is saying that he's most likely in his lifetime going to win a world boxing championship and not intend to fight more than once.
Yeah.
Which means he just gets a chance to win a championship, and that's it. This is what we're talking about. I mean, love him or hate him, Dana supports the hell out of this guy because they make a lot of money together.
Yep. It's definitely true.
That is the name of the game.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Gentlemen, we've had a great start to the show We've had a great start to the show so far, but now it's time to take things up a notch. It's time for another round of Quickly Talkin' Sports. You guys know the drill. I'll ask you a question. I'll give you about a minute to answer. I'll give everyone else a minute or so to give a rebuttal. Make sure you say what you need to say, but please keep it quick as the name of the segment suggests. Are we ready?
That's the best time of the week.
Ready.
Let's do it.
All right. Good, because here we go. Chris, the New York Rangers are facing a dilemma in net this season. The face of the franchise, Henrik Lundqvist, has stepped out of the spotlight this season to let the two young Russians, Alex Georgiev and Igor Shesterkin, make a name for themselves. It's unprecedented for an NHL team to carry 3 goalies, so what do you think is the best move for the Rangers in goal going forward?
Super tough one. Love Hank, so I'm keeping him. And you know what? We saw this lovely Russian prospect that we have. He's awesome. Georgiev probably needs to go. Return. Hopefully, there's teams that need a goalie real bad. Like the Wild need a goalie. The Devils do, but do we want to trade him in the Metro? Probably not. But the Wild have some top 6 forwards that we can make a deal with. But it's a really confusing one. I haven't seen it in my lifetime, to be honest. So. It's a sticky situation, and hopefully we can just move him and get at least reasonable return for him.
Yeah, I think that's fair. It's not fun, and it will benefit no one if they continue to carry 3 goalies. So you got to hope they have a plan in place,
Definitely. All right, Lawrence, the New Jersey Devils continue to find new ways to surprise us as GM Ray Shero has been let go by the team. Shero was brought in back in 2015 and has his name attached to quite a few well-received acquisitions in New Jersey, such as Taylor Hall, Kyle Palmieri, Will Butcher, and PK Subban. And while the Devils continue to struggle this season and some of those acquisitions don't appear as good as they once did, do you believe this was the right move for New Jersey?
Well, that's not the question I thought you were going to ask. No, I don't believe it's the right move for New Jersey. But it can really go both ways. Honestly, I can make an argument for why he should and shouldn't have been fired, right? People kind of said that he had management's ear, or that he didn't have management's ear, and then that they were kind of forcing him out. Their interview, Harrison Blitzer's interview after, he got fired was very vague in general, and it didn't really point to anything specific that Shero did wrong. And the rest of the NHL world seemed to be shocked, like you said. However, this is Ray Shero, who is a supposed mastermind. He walks into one of the best trades in NHL history in Hall 1-for-1. Then he gets 2 first overall picks, and hopefully that's their 1-2 for the next 10 years at center. They haven't been to the playoffs 4 of the 5 seasons that he's been in charge of the New Jersey Devils, and the year he went to the playoffs, Taylor Hall won MVP. because he walked into that trade. Because we've have we ever talked about how dumb Peter Chiarelli is on this podcast? Because we sure as shit did it a lot
on the podcast. No, on the radio show, yes.
Oh my God. Yeah, really, really, really bad. So yeah, a bit surprising. It didn't really make sense to me. However, apparently Tom Fitzgerald, who is their interim GM, has been quite sought after. He's been on a lot of teams' lists. So maybe he gets a job full time. Maybe they say, yeah, maybe we shouldn't promote from within because it hasn't really been working anyway, and they go outside, but that'll probably come after the season. But yeah, all in all, I was definitely surprised.
David, the college football playoffs are behind us, and LSU proved to be the powerhouse everyone believed they would be with a 42-25 victory over Clemson in the national championship. While there are plenty of players to look at, all eyes remain on both quarterbacks, Joe Burrow and Trevor Lawrence. How do you think Burrow will perform in the NFL, and do you see Trevor Lawrence and Clemson bouncing back after this?
Oh, yeah, Clemson is already the preseason favorite to win the championship next year, I believe. Because, I mean, replacing Joe Burrow is not going to be an easy thing. LSU is not going anywhere either. But they're still in the same division as Alabama, who has a nice young quarterback, as it looked like in the bowl game, who's going to take over and manage things down in Alabama. And LSU will be there. Joe Burrow, though, will be a great NFL quarterback, as will Trevor Lawrence one day. I think Joe Burrow already is probably a top 15 NFL quarterback. I may be getting ahead of myself a little bit. But, I mean, the kid, he took online classes, so he didn't go to class. He did nothing but study film all day when it came to, playoff games, regular season games. So he's living like he's an NFL quarterback as it is. And he's actually older than Lamar Jackson, which I think we've talked about on here before. Yep. But so, he's got the age, he's got the experience, the maturity. He has all the necessary tools to be a successful quarterback in the NFL. And I, for one, can't wait to see it. Lawrence will probably win the Heisman next year, though, and not lose another game.
Yeah, I think you're spot on about that. You're right. I won't. No.
No, okay. You will win the Heisman.
I messed that one up pretty badly. Yeah, and Burrow can win big games. Clearly. Clearly. Yeah,
he clearly handles pressure well.
My God.
Now, I don't know that the Cincinnati Bengals are going to set up the system that he can, or the kind of system he had in LSU. But you give him a guy like A.J. Green, and, if you beef up that offensive line a little bit and give him a run game, I think the Cincinnati Bengals are a serious threat going forward.
Their 11th pick in the draft last year was an offensive lineman, and he was out for the year before preseason even started.
Yeah, so and so was A.J. Green.
Right. That's true. So it'll be interesting.
Yeah.
Lots to look forward to in Cincinnati. Chris, news broke this morning Cardinals wide receiver Larry Fitzgerald will be rejoining the team in 2020 for his 17th season in the NFL. We know Fitzgerald can still play, but with the current state of the Arizona Cardinals, do you think the 36-year-old wideout made a smart move?
Absolutely. Love Larry Fitzgerald. Love him. Class act, deserves $11 million every 1 year when he feels like it. Absolutely a huge fan of that. Just a rolling 1 year contract. It's awesome. You hear him this year, right? He's saying how he had fun, and they were not good. And he said he had
5-11, right?
Yeah, 5 wins. That's not necessarily fun. He didn't have a blowout year where he was like, the receiver of the year.
Yeah,
he's having a lot of fun with some of the young guys on the team. I think he's like viewing this as more of a teaching opportunity, right? But he still gets to get paid $11 million to catch the ball, which he is just genetically able to do. I mean, the ball goes right to his hand. The guy doesn't drop it. So
it's like he's got glue on there.
Yeah, cheater, right? He should join the Red Sox.
No, I agree with you wholeheartedly. I think that Larry Fitz is still got the opportunity to be the number 2, maybe even the number 1 guy in Arizona. He can just still do it, and Kyler's getting better every day. It may not look like it at first, but he is getting better every day. So I think we can see some exciting stuff from Larry next year.
Absolutely.
All right, David. In the past 5 years, we've seen a number of NFL stars call it a career early, and now the Panthers linebacker Luke Kuechly joins the list. He joins Rob Gronkowski, Calvin Johnson, Cam Chancellor, and Andrew Luck as notable players to retire at the age of 30 or younger since 2015. David, where do you put Kuechly on this list of all-stars, and do you consider him a Hall of Fame player?
Hall of Fame, definitely not. He's definitely up there on the list, though. I mean, he's one of the best linebackers of this decade. For the past 8 years, he's always been one of the best linebackers in the league. If you listen to his interview, he cites that he just can't physically keep up anymore with the running backs out of the backfield, and I believe him. I mean, you lose a step in a couple of years, and these kids just keep coming out of college, and they're getting faster and stronger every year. And he's getting a little bit slower and more tired and weaker every year. You know what I mean? So at a position like linebacker where your only job is to throw your body into someone who's bigger than you, I understand it. It's not the quarterback retiring. It's someone who's getting smashed on every play, and it's too much for him. And it's good for him. He'll ride off into the sunset. It's a good time, too, because his coach just got fired. There'd be a huge change in everything he ever knew in Carolina. New quarterback, new culture, new owner. He doesn't even know that he would have been retained after next year. So I think the timing's really right for him in the middle of his team rebuilding around other players that aren't him.
Okay.
You nailed it.
Absolutely, Dave. You killed it. Lawrence, close us out. To quote Bob McKenzie, another seismic firing/hiring in a season full of them. The Vegas Golden Knights have fired head coach Gerard Gallant and have hired former Sharks head coach Peter DeBoer. Gallant has been with the Golden Knights since their first season back in 2017, and the Knights currently sit at 5th in the Pacific Division with a record of 24-19-6, but only sit 3 points out of the number 1 spot. Lawrence, to put it simply, what do you make of all this?
I have no clue whatsoever. I mean, no clue. With all the hockey coaches that have been fired this year from scandal, that's where you immediately went, right? You were like, oh man, did something happen to Gallant? Come on, this Vegas story has been so good. But reports have come out that it's performance-based, and they've kind of slid in the last couple of weeks. They've been pretty inconsistent this year. They've been such a streaky team that they thought they needed to get rid of Gerard Gallant. Don't know what's going to happen to the All-Star game when he's supposed to coach the Pacific Division. So that's awkward. He's 1 year removed off a Jack Adams reward, so that's awkward. And he should have beaten Peter DeBoer in the playoffs, but shit officiating kept him back, so that's awkward. And Peter DeBoer, I thought, was an interesting hire. They're clearly looking for a guy with a little more experience that they think can help him win. The guy's been to the Cup twice, never lifted it. Suck it, Devils. But yeah, really, really surprising. That was another jaw-dropping notification from the hockey world this week.
Wasn't expecting it at all.
Oh.
Yeah, looking up Vegas' numbers, I thought this was really a shock to let him go in the first place. And I don't think DeBoer's a bad coach per se. I think there's a lot in San Jose this season that really regressed. I think they are not the team that they used to be, and that's not on him. That's on the players who are getting paid a ton of money to not play like they usually do. But I still don't think he's as good of a coach or could handle this Vegas team like Gallant can. So I think there's more that we don't know. I think that just kind of has to be it, because I don't know what else would cause you to bring in the guy that got fired in your division. You went and got Adam Gase. You got Adam Gase. So
three coaches, that bad. 3 coaches have been fired after losses to Buffalo this season.
Wow.
So that's that. I think they've also lost 4 straight. So
Buffalo's
maybe they were teetering.
Buffalo's
well, listen, if you can't beat Linus Olmark in goal, I mean, owners didn't know who Linus Olmark was before 2 weeks ago. So
I didn't know who he was till about 10 seconds ago.
There you go.
Eichel does have one of the best points per game ratios in the league, though.
Not better than Panarin.
True.
Sorry.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for Quickly Talking Sports. Good job, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Great
Super
job.
Quick.
Yeah, no, definitely
Very
quick.
That's the whole
definitely quicker than last
Quickly
week.
Talking Sports.
All right, and now it's time for that part of the show. Chris, can you ask Lawrence what time it is?
Larry, what time is it?
Mailbag.
You did that. Good job. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Mailbag. All right, let's get right into it. So Tom Kamel wants to know, more than other sports, is cheating just a part of baseball?
I mean, no.
How do you define cheating, though? That inherently is the question.
And there's gamesmanship. there's like ways to manipulate the game that aren't cheating that also give you kind of an edge, but everyone's able to do it. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, like does any other sport have like a steroid era? Because baseball does.
Yeah,
I mean that's the management's fault for not testing, though. You know, the reason there's no steroid era in football is because they tested for steroids. No one's tested for steroids in baseball because who would have thought steroids would help you play baseball? You know. I mean, there's things like legal sign stealing, though, which I don't know if you consider that cheating or not, because it is legal to steal signs if you're standing on second base and you see what the catcher's dropping.
Right.
You know, even if you're sitting in the dugout and you're paying attention, you overhear something. That's all legal. So, like, if you remember when the story first broke, I was like, I don't think it's that big a deal. Like, everyone steals signs because I didn't know there was a rule against it. So that technically wouldn't have been cheating if there was no rule against it, you know?
I think when it comes down to it, though, I don't think it's like a part of baseball, but it's easily the sport where it happens the most. Like, you don't get cork bats in baseball. You don't get pine tar in hockey. It doesn't happen. And we see these things all the time.
You get deflated footballs, though.
Yeah,
you
definitely get deflated footballs. Spygate.
Yeah, bad look. All the Pats fans.
Yeah, I was gonna say, notice how we're saying all the things that happened to the Patriots, and I'm keeping it general.
I can't think of any instance of cheating in basketball or hockey, though, or even soccer. Can you? There's some bribery in soccer, but
well,
not cheating.
I was going to say FIFA is so rigged.
FIFA's just corrupt, but that's not affecting the outcome of the game.
Yeah.
That's just making
you don't know that.
Guitar.
You don't know that. Not according to Mike Piazza, it's not. Okay.
Yeah, I guess you're right. But I mean, that's the reason that the World Cup's going to be in Qatar this year, and it's going to be 120 degrees, and the players are going to have a stroke in the field. But
right, so I think every sport has their own shtick, and baseball's is just scandal, I guess. Who knows?
You know us, just scaling up over here in baseball world.
And I mean, for the past 100 years, you go back to the old Chicago Black Sox.
True.
There's a precedence for scandals.
Exactly, and I think that was Tom's point at the end of the day. I think we're just answering Tom's question without saying yes, you're right.
Yeah.
But let's keep it on baseball. Mike Parr wants to know if the MLB is overreacting to the sign stealing scandal.
I wouldn't say
no.
No, I mean this. You know, this directly won them a championship.
They underreacted. Right? I mean,
well, I don't know if that's an underreaction, but this is a completely unprecedented thing. There's never been a manager and GM suspended for a whole year before, in any circumstance in baseball. You know, so this is the worst punishment.
What about the Cardinals guy that stole data?
I don't think it was a whole year. I mean, well, Pete Rose got banned for life, but besides Pete Rose getting banned for gambling, I don't think that there's any manager suspension or ban besides that sets a precedent for this. I could be wrong, but I don't remember one in my recent memory, at least. And it seems like it's like they were the scapegoats. They kind of had to be, you know?
Definitely.
No, definitely. All right, Chris, this one is for you. John Franklin wants to know your stance on bananas.
Bananas, a great source of potassium. I'll give it that. But other than that, the peel's a little frustrating. I think it's overprotective. Like, let your guard down a little. So I'd probably give bananas like a 6 out of 10. Would consider recommending it, but probably not.
There you go, John. All right. Pat Pitts wants to know if you could bring back a childhood hero to be on your present team, who would it be?
Well, definitely Peyton Manning.
Easy for you. See, you take out the Rangers immediately because you have the fortunate luck that Henrik Lundqvist is still on the team, and you're fresh removed from Eli, Bam, or Chris. So I don't know. David Wright was recent too, but I would say that maybe Mike Piazza, football Ed Reed most certainly, but I've already praised him too much on the show for me to even count.
Ed Reed and Jamal Adams in the same backfield.
God, so I've got a different answer, but still the same Jets. If I could have Kevin Mawai protecting Sam Darnold, oh boy,
nice.
That would change this team. That would change this team.
Hall of Fame center, sign me up. Get ready for a 3rd round pick out of Wisconsin next year.
I would have liked Mark Messier on the team that we just had win the President's Cup.
That's cool.
Yeah.
You know, because the last time we won the President's Cup, it's with Mark Messier, and We all know how that turned out because I was alive for it.
Yep, definitely. Chris was alive for the Stanley Cup, guys. Did you guys know that?
Lawrence
I wasn't.
Was not.
Wasn't
so I'm a bigger fan
wasn't
now.
either. How much do you remember of it, Chris?
Don't ask questions you don't want the answer.
I was gonna say, like it was yesterday.
I wanted an answer. That's why I asked.
I was less than 30 days old, so not much.
It's all right. I'm still the only person on this podcast who hasn't seen a championship yet, so maybe one of these days I'll get there. I'll join you boys. All right.
Probably not if you keep root for the Jets.
no shot. It's going to have to be the Rangers. Don't even count the Knicks either. We didn't even bring up the Knicks. But speaking of basketball, our last – there we go, David. Our last mailbag question is David Davina wants to know, what are our feelings on Zion making his return next week, and can the Pelicans sneak into the playoffs with Zion back?
Potentially. The bottom of the West is kind of tough, though, right? Forgive me, I haven't versed myself in NBA standings in the last week or so. But excited for him to come back. If the NBA hasn't already removed all of the national television games they gave the Pelicans in the first place, I would probably tune in for it because they are actually now marketable with Zion back. But
only 4 games out of that 8 seed.
They're only 4 games out, so yeah, absolutely.
Mid-January.
I mean, if he could, kind of go on a run here with them. Wow, they are. Wait, no. Do you have this wrong?
No, I have it wrong. Do you have it wrong?
I have them 18 and a half games out.
That's in first place.
Oh, I'm stupid. I have. Yeah. Okay, wow. So Memphis is 19 and 22, and they've been playing well recently. They're 8-2 in their last 10.
Right. Well, that's why they're in the 8th spot now.
There you go. You could sneak into the 8th seed. I don't know if he'll. There's some good teams that are out of the playoffs right now, and everyone thought Sacramento would kind of be better than they are, and Portland and San Antonio. So
yeah, Portland's
a lot
surprising.
of competition.
We don't have to be an NBA-based show right now, but I think it's great for the sport having Zion come back. I'm excited to see him play because I think he may be the most dynamic athlete there is in sports right now. Just exciting to watch. I watched almost every game he played at Duke, just because it was a spectacle to see a human do things like that. And I mean, I can't wait to see it in the NBA. I want to see if defenses can handle him, how pro defenders try to, slow him down or stop him, and if they'll have any success. Like, I can't imagine him being able to dunk over like an Al Horford kind of guy or a Rudy Gobert kind of guy, but he probably will anyway. So
you got a point. All right, gentlemen, that was mailbag. So we move on to that last portion of the show that everyone looks forward to. It's time for the judges' trivia question of the week.
Ruh-roh.
So, Judge has agreed to let up on us a little bit.
All right.
When I took this test, I needed to get all 4 correct, but we've narrowed it down to 3 in fairness. So, the category is Big 4 sports, and the question is
super general.
For each Big 4 sport, name the player with the most games played.
Oh.
Most games played all time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, Adam Vinatieri's in football, right?
Incorrect.
Who the hell's played more football than him?
Morton Anderson.
That's what I actually said. Morton Anderson is correct. I did say who has played more than Adam Vinatieri. Morton Anderson is correct. Vinatieri's number 2. And
I got that right.
Vinatieri's very close to the record, though.
Is Jaromir Jagr the hockey player?
Jaromir Jagr is not the hockey player.
That means I'm out.
Gordie Howe.
Gordie Howe is correct.
Yeah, he played for so long.
Gordie Howe was
he played on the line with his child. That's how long he played for. Baseball is tough because there's been so many baseball players to play for so many, and like it can't be a pitcher because they only play a fifth of the games. So unless it's a relief pitcher, but it probably isn't.
I'm gonna take. No, this can't be it. No,
go ahead, Lawrence.
Now, do they have to be dressed or do they have to play? You know
I would
what
imagine
I mean?
Play. I would imagine play.
Okay, so it's not Julio Franco. That's what I'm trying to get.
Not Julio Franco.
Okay. Is it something? Is it Ripken?
It's not Ripken. I guessed Ripken.
Guess.
Ripken is in the top 10. Ripken's not even in the top 5.
It's not Derek Jeter, right?
It's not Derek Jeter.
Ted Williams.
It is not Ted Williams.
All right.
You still got basketball if you want to get it.
There was a guy. Oh yeah, basketball. True. I don't know all-time basketball players. There was a guy that. As a baseball player, like I saw something on Instagram about, but I can't think of who the hell it was.
Lawrence, did you guess a basketball player, or were you just mumbling to yourself?
Kareem.
Kareem is correct.
Oh wow!
Hey,
here we go, gentlemen. Do you want to go for 4?
Two of them.
Do you want to go for the 4th?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
Nothing. Chris, do you even want to just guess a baseball player?
Nope.
The MLB, so you nailed the NFL is Morton Anderson, NBA is Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, the NHL is Gordie Howe, and the MLB is Pete Rose.
You know, that was my first thought, but I thought there's no way.
I guessed Ripken, I guessed Vinatieri, and I could not think of Kareem for the life of me. I guessed Vince Carter because it sounded fun.
Yeah, he's played in 4 different decades.
Exactly. That was correct. But Chris, we have a question just for you from the judge. Here we go. The category is mixed martial arts. Chris, give me the one person to fight in UFC 100 and UFC 200.
Oh, boy.
Wait, like the 100 and 200 card? He was on the 100 and 200 card?
Correct.
Only one guy.
Cain Velasquez.
Cain Velasquez is incorrect.
Is it GSP?
George St. Pierre is incorrect.
Damn it.
Junior Dos Anjos.
Junior Dos Santos is incorrect.
Not Anderson Silva, right?
Oh,
It's
is
not
it Anderson Silva?
It's not
he came in
Anderson
after.
Brock Lesnar?
Brock Lesnar is correct.
Is it really?
Brock Lesnar is correct.
That's why I don't know. I don't follow WWE too, Luke. Damn it, Brock Lesnar, you got me again.
So the judge stumped Chris, but boys, that's the first W in quite a long time. Congratulations. You hit 3 out of the 4 that judge wanted you to hit, so good job. Nice to see that.
Right, that counts?
Yes, absolutely. Chris has more victories or as many victories as Ryan at this point. So
let's go. Suck it, Ryan.
All right, well, that's going to do it for this episode of 4 Guys Talking Sports. Chris, thank you so much for coming on. We had a blast with you.
Thank you so much for having me. This was very fun.
That's a great time at any time.
Yep, and very, 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 very. Sorry, am I saying very too much? Happy that Ryan wasn't on this show, and we could bag Boston without any retaliation for once.
Feels fun.
That's
right?
fine.
Feels fun.
He won't listen. Yeah, he won't listen to this, so it's fine. You can just bash him. You know,
if Ryan Hicks makes it to the 55-minute mark of his own show, I'd be surprised.
Patriots are a fraud, and you're a fraud. Respond to me on the next show. I just called him out. He'll never hear it. No one tell him about it.
I hope it happens, but it probably won't.
Oh, I hope it happens too. It'd be great for podcasting. But ladies and gentlemen, great business. We hope you guys at home loved this episode. Be sure to like this video, subscribe to our channel, follow us on Spotify and Apple Music so you don't miss the next episode. For all of us here at 4 Guys Talking Sports, my name is Luke Grano.
Oh God, we've been on Apple Podcasts for so long.
Oh man, I thought we were a Spotify and YouTube exclusive.
Oh
boy, David does not listen to his own outro. He listens for me to say my last name, and instinctively, just like a twitch, just goes into it.
I wait for Ryan Hicks to say his last name.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah,
you're right. All right. Well, regardless, apparently for all of us in David's world, my name is Luke Legrano.
I'm not Ryan Hicks. I'm David Acasella.
And I'm Lawrence Legrano.
And I think I'm Chris Miranda.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening. Be sure to catch us next time. We will see you then. Take care. Spay and neuter your pets?
Spay and neuter your pets. God, I keep forgetting that.